Hey everybody, Tim Kelly here with Apache Solutions. I am here with John and Sarah Hopton of PHLSTER down in Dallas, Texas at TACCon 2021. Yesterday I was having a conversation with them about a product that they just released and how it personally benefited myself, my family, and many of my students. So I was hoping to get an opportunity for them to share their story with you as far as the development of their Enigma and that sort of thing. So yeah, what you guys got?
So I'm John Hauptman. I started PHLSTER holsters about 10 years ago out of my spare room in Philadelphia, and over the past 10 years we've been heavily involved in training community this side of the house here, and we've been developing gear that's based around all of the principles and standards and expectations that are set in the kind of environment like TACCon. And I moved to Minnesota to be with my lovely wife Sarah, and before I had moved, I started a project with a friend of mine named Jules. Jules runs Runcible Works and was making incredible technical bespoke under the clothes holster solutions for years between that and his full-time job, and they were highly experimental and very advanced and sought after, and there were never enough of them, and you kind of had to know the secret knock and handshake to find out who he was and to get one. And as I was in the process of moving, I was in the process also of kind of like redeveloping the business, around a different model. And I turned around to him and I said, "Hey, we've got some resources. We should take a look and see if we can bring your high-end under the clothes YP holster system to kind of like a mass production market." And so he and I sat down and I spent like 2 years making prototypes and going back and forth and testing stuff. And one day Sarah comes over, and we've got a big sheet of material in the basement. We had a laser cutter because we were working on some other projects like the Ascent pouches and the Summit OWB holster that use this really interesting semi-rigid laminated polymer textile stuff.
Yeah.
And
actually got one. Keep talking.
And Sarah picked it up and said, "Hey, can I have some of this?" And I said, "Oh yeah, absolutely." And she came back with a piece of it cut out in this boomerang shape, slapped onto a holster. And I called up Jules and I said, "Hey, so everything we've been doing for a year and a half is just throw it out, because literal genius has occurred here." And I sent him pictures and he said, "Oh yeah, okay, so we're moving forward with that." And Sarah changed the way we looked at this product, and we kind of started from scratch and wound up with the system, which is the Enigma.
Yeah, and it was interesting too, because it's one of those products that really wouldn't have been possible a few years ago because the materials that we're using to make it just didn't really exist. So it's kind of, we kind of happened upon this technology and at the right place at the right time, and here we are.
Perfect. That's awesome. Well, I know I told you guys yesterday, but I want to say it on camera so our viewers can see it. But I greatly appreciate the development of this holster chassis and that sort of thing, so that my wife can now carry a handgun and have a much better option and opportunity to defend herself and my family while I'm away. Now, as I said before, we're down in Dallas, Texas. My wife is currently in Yanktonville, North Carolina, and being that we travel a lot and that sort of thing, it's really important that she still has that opportunity and that ability to take care of herself and our children while we're away. And it means so much to me knowing that when she wakes up in the morning now, she puts on her handgun and she carries it around everywhere she goes, and she doesn't take it off until she goes to bed at night. And she's confident in it, she's comfortable with it, and it's pushing her in the direction of more training, getting educated more, and more people need this. I mean, I don't think I can say it enough. There are so many people out there that can drastically change or alter the way they see concealed carry or the way they see their everyday environment if they invest in this product. And I mean, you guys just really met me face to face for the first time yesterday. I ain't trying to sell your product. I'm trying to help people know this is a real game changer. This is a serious game changer. And you have an opportunity now to invest in something like this and not have to worry about the, oh my God, am I printing? Or, hey, the hot topic. What happens when I go to a public restroom, I have 2 kids with me and I'm carrying a gun and I have to sit down? Well, now you don't have to worry about that. You can wear your handgun as you're using the restroom, and you don't have to worry about setting it somewhere where your kids can get a hold of it, or where somebody else can get a hold of it, or it dropping and falling somewhere, stick it into a bag or something along those lines. It's a serious game changer.
Yeah, it's one of those things that kind of reduces the barriers to entry.
Yeah.
Right? So, and this is not only a woman's product, it's for everybody.
Sure.
But there are some unique challenges in the women's concealment game that have to do with wardrobe, that have to do with, convenience. And like you mentioned, the restroom, that's kind of a big deal, when you need to sit down every time. And there are a lot of people that want to carry, but they just can't see how they can do it and fit it into their existing life. And they're not going to change their entire life to carry.
Sure.
And those are the people that I think really can get the most out of this product.
Yeah.
Because this allows you to keep your firearm on you and secure in a safe holster all the time without having to sacrifice your wardrobe or to sacrifice your convenience and your lifestyle.
Sure. And it's not something they really have to change up. I mean, it's a good option as your immediate carry option. Your immediate carry piece. So if I go to the gym and work out or something like that, I'm not glancing at my bag every 5 minutes going, man, I really feel insecure about my gun being in that bag. There's other people around me and that sort of thing, and I'm over here trying to lift weights. What if somebody decided to do something stupid right now?
Yeah.
It made me uneasy, made me feel uneasy, made me nervous. Now I can put use the PHLSTER and keep it on me the entire time, not print, and continue doing it, whatever it is I want to do. It's very superior to any of the other options as far as deep concealment and that sort of thing goes, especially. So,
one of the interesting things that's happening is that since this is so new, we're making discoveries alongside of everyone else who's discovering the product.
Right.
So we've got a Facebook group called the PHLSTER Concealment Workshop, and in that group there are people who have had their concealed carry permit for less than 30 days.
Yeah.
And there are other people who are gun carrying professionals, like 3-letter agency folks who've been carrying a gun for 35 years. And the product scales with the user. So there are some people who've been carrying for a long time and they've got the drawer full of holsters, and they're high-end users who will, whatever holster they get, they're going to cut it and trim it and shape it and put a wedge on it and tweak it, and they kind of know how to get from point A to point B and are prepared to customize every piece of gear that they get. And then there are people who obtain this system unaware that there's this array of things that you do to your holster to personalize it, and are jumped into that process immediately.
Yeah.
And the results that we get from both demographics are really interesting. And the other thing that I'm finding to be interesting is that if the gear supports training and performance, then that puts people on the training and performance path.
Right.
It is possible to be new at this, and we've all done it. When you're new at this, you get some gear that's available to you and seems like a good idea, give you whatever your novice frame of reference is.
Sure.
And the failure of the gear limits your ability to see how far training and performance can go in the world of concealed carry. So it's kind of like a master key. It's a master key to this kind of space, because everything we've learned from here goes into products like this.
Sure.
So it's kind of it's your magic key to the world of training in some ways, which is an interesting phenomenon that we're discovering.
Right.
Yeah, the same thing applies to concealment too. So we end up with a lot of people who they try a couple holsters and they all print and they think, well, that's just how it is. I guess I got to dress around the gun. And they just kind of give up on getting good concealment.
Right.
Whereas this is one of those things where you can actually customize every aspect of it to fit your individual body. And so we're encountering users that are just like shocked at the level of concealment they can get. And that also opens up a whole new avenue of performance for them that they didn't realize was even possible.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I didn't realize I could wear a t-shirt without tying it in a knot, or...
We're starting to see a phenomenon that I call Enigma Face, where someone will share a video to the group of them putting it on for the first time, and it's like them like looking in the mirror like, no, there's no way it's doing this.
Where'd it go?
It's like, and we're like, yeah, and then there's another gun behind your ear. It almost feels like a magic trick in some ways, but it's...
Yeah, but it opens doors to a level of concealment that people didn't think they were capable of. Right. And they thought it was just witchcraft, or maybe those people, maybe you only have to have a specific body to be able to get this kind of concealment.
Yeah.
But no, it's actually possible on anyone if you know what you're doing.
Sure.
And because this product requires so much, it requires a lot of investment and time to install it, to adjust it for your body. But doing that makes you aware of all of these little tweaks that you didn't even know were possible.
Yeah.
And so it really does open doors for people, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And John, you mentioned the workshop on Facebook. What was the name of it again?
It's the PHLSTER Concealment Workshop.
Okay.
And the point of the group is to help people with strategies on how to make whatever they have conceal better. So you can show up with anything you've gotten and get information about how to manipulate a holster in such a way that it conforms to your body type and body shape that gives you concealment and performance.
Right.
And it kind of wound up being the unofficial Enigma group.
Yeah.
As a result of it being associated with the brand, but we're mostly there to educate people.
Yeah. We actually have students that I've told them, listen, you can delete it in 2 days if you decide this is not worthy. Make a Facebook page and just get on that workshop. And I've got students that have done that, and they literally only go on Facebook now just to go to that workshop.
Oh, wow.
But let me explain why. I'm not sitting here to like just pat you guys on the back and continue telling you guys are doing awesome. But this is really tremendous because we've got students that walked into the concealed carry world, and you know how that is, that feeling of, especially when you get up against some guys that have been doing this for a long time, and you're like, holy crap, there is so much information out there. And then along the way, you hit these, speed bumps. You veer off the path here and there, and get trapped and get caught up in gimmicks. You get caught up in bad training. You get caught up in all kinds of other stuff. This is a streamline. There are so many good people on that workshop that really streamline people and keep them running that straight line. Keeps them from making, you mentioned having a drawer of holsters. We have a box on our range that we have labeled "Don't ever do that again." Right. That's our "Don't ever do that again" box.
Tupperware.
So it's just it's tons and tons of holsters, belts, gear, all kinds of stuff that are just stuffed inside there. And so when people ask me, well, you mentioned all the holsters to look for, what should I stay away from? I just grab that box, set it out there, open it up,
pour it
there
out.
You go. But I mean, I'm only affecting like ones and twos with that. You guys have a hot spot. There is a lot of educated people in there, and they're non-judgmental. I've heard that over and over and over again. You don't have jerks on there like, well, dummy, 9 mils better than 45 or something along those lines.
Well, it does take a lot of moderation.
Crazy, I imagine.
I'd say probably about 30% of our waking hours right now are spent treating that group like a little bonsai tree,
right?
Where we're pruning the group culture.
Sure.
Keep it healthy and vibrant and kind of like the right shape.
It's easy to get into a group and basically feel like you've walked into a gun store where there's no boundaries. Where folks are just kind of, folks are just kind of rambling on about a bunch of nonsense or giving really bad advice, and having worked at a gun store for a temporary period of time, because I'm not a very good salesman, so having worked at a gun store, I've heard all of that gun talk. well, if he was going to do this, I would do this. Or this is the kind of gun you have to have. And, you know, and just, I don't know, making up unrealistic stuff based off of no real facts, just opinion, you know?
One of the things that I'm really proud of about the group is that there's something happening that's not typical of the gun groups that we usually see. A lot of gun spaces online are by default male because there's a lot of dudes in this space and they talk to each other a certain way. You know, guys break each other's balls. Guys have certain kinds of attitudes with each other, and that's a behavior that it takes women a certain amount of time and resilience to adapt to.
Sure.
You know, like I know I don't even like it all the time. And,
Yeah, I think it does actually hinder learning processes in a lot of the cases.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it almost gets to be like a pile-on instead of an education, and so
Right.
that's one area where it suffers. And then on the other hand, you've got the women's groups, and those end up being, you know, like they're safe and supportive spaces, but since it's a smaller pond, they lack the expertise of the wider pool.
Right.
So you get a lot of bad advice, you know, by well-meaning people, of course, but it's
Right,
bad
sure.
advice.
It's the two dichotomies. On the one hand, guys are like willing to bully each other at the drop of a hat, and then in the women's spaces, it's so safe and supportive that it's almost difficult to point out less ideal practices and,
Right.
and bad things.
Right.
But we've wound up with a group that's actually fairly evenly mixed,
Yeah,
and
it's like
everyone's
almost
keeping each
50-50.
other on
Yeah,
awesome
yeah.
behavior.
Yeah,
You know, like
exactly.
we're not seeing. We've kind of like taken the sharp edges off of either side, and the amazing thing is so. One thing we were really optimistic about, and we weren't sure if we were gonna pull it off. Online, if you're gonna help people with concealment, you're gonna have to show your body to a
Right.
certain degree.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna have to lift up your shirt and show someone how your gun is riding on your body so they can give you better advice about it. And we're like, oh God, we're still on the internet, so this could be a catastrophe.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And how are we going to have a 50-year-old guy who's had a fairly sedentary lifestyle, or a new mom who might not be like, you know, secure about her body yet, or you know, anyone in between? How are we going to create an environment where they can kind of pull their shirt up and go, help me conceal this gun? And the fact that people are legit awesome to each other in that group is, I am incredibly proud of that. Like that's the cool. I feel like that's the coolest thing we've done.
You don't see that on the internet.
People.
You just
And
don't see that on the internet.
No, you really don't. And it is such a special group of people.
Yeah.
And we are so incredibly lucky with the members that we have. And they hold themselves to a higher standard.
Yes.
Yeah,
And that's really cool. So we're
It's
proud to
amazing.
be a part of it.
that's awesome.
And thank you too.
Oh yeah,
sure.
man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks you guys. I really appreciate you guys being here, taking the time out of your busy day. I'm gonna tell you right now, TacCon is a phenomenal experience. Having the opportunity to come down here and meet with all kinds of different presenters, different shapes, sizes, and flavors. Man, there's so much opportunity here. It's a great experience, but it's very exhausting. And these guys have been talking to people left and right. We were lucky enough to get them, you know, roped in over here. I had to, you know, leave a trail of M&Ms for John all over here. And he finally sat down, propped up his feet, and I said, let me take a video. But anyhow, so I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your very busy days
Happy
to sit here and have a chat with me and go on film. So yeah, that's all we got for you guys. Make sure to check out PHLSTER. What's your website? PHLSTER.com.
PHLSTERholsters.com.
PHLSTERholsters.com, and make sure you check out the Facebook page. What is it again?
PHLSTER Concealment Workshop.
The PHLSTER Concealment Workshop. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We look forward to seeing you out here. If you're going to do it right. If you can't do it right, make sure you look cool while you're doing it.
Yes, exactly.
Something along those lines.